Hello everyone, Ember here, and welcome back to a new video. In this one, I'd like to take a look at a bunch of upcoming decks from the set Journey Together for the Zoroark deck. So, Zoroark EX looks to be honest, a pretty good deck, to be honest, from Journey Together. It has a very powerful attack Night Joker that allows you to choose one of your benched Ends Pokemon's attacks and use it as this attack for just 2 Dark Energy. It also has the ability Trade, which says you must discard a card from your hand in order to use this ability. Once during your turn, you may draw 2 cards. Now, there is a bunch of other translations here, which I'll just quickly skim over before we get into the lists. End Sigilif just says if you use this attack when you only have 1 prize remaining, you just win the game, which is really nice. Also got your Stadium of Choice, Ends Castle, which says each Ends Pokemon in play, both yours and your opponent's, has no retreat cost, which is just really helpful and just means that stuff like Darmanitan and Ends Reshiram will not get stuck in the active spot, really. So yeah, that's good. Also, some other new cards, Ends Darmanitan is sort of like, I guess it's the closest thing this deck really has to a main attacker from what you'll be copying. So Backdraft can be really good against things like Ceruledge or maybe even Gardevoir, but really Darman Eye Cannon is like the real reason you play Darmanitan. So for 3 Fire Energy, it does 90, then you get to discard all energy from Darmanitan, which, does kind of suck, to be honest. But you do 90 damage to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon. And in a format post-rotation, where we won't really have bench protection except for things like Rabaska, this can be quite lethal. You know, if you can get one of these off turn 2 before Rabaska even has a chance to evolve, then yeah, that can be pretty devastating. You know, your opponent would have to use a TM evolution in order to get Rabaska up. So yeah, seems like a very powerful attack. And you'll also see with these lists, most people just use reverse energy anyway to pay for Darman Eye Cannon rather than just have N copy it all the time. So yeah. Also got Ends Reshiram, which has the powerful attack Powerful Rage, very appropriately named. Does 20 damage for each damage counter on this Pokemon, which is aka Zoroark EX. So assuming you can survive at least one hit, I mean you have 280 HP, so that shouldn't be a problem most of the time. Then you'll be able to one-shot something in retaliation, basically. So, Charizard swings into you for 180, you then just one-shot them. So, fantastic. Also got Virtuous Flame, which is just a flat 170. Can be decent in some situations because most of the attacks that you are copying are kind of dependent on a few things, right? Powerful Rage is dependent on you being damaged. Backdraft is very dependent on your opponent. Dormant Eye Cannon might not be the best option all the time. So having Virtuous Flame is actually quite a nice option to be able to copy. Also got Ends PP Up, which allows you to attach your basic energy card from your discard pile to one of your benched Ends Pokemon. So this just has really good synergy with Dormant Eye Cannon, meaning that if you discard all the energy, then you can just Ends PP Up and attach them all again to your bench Zoroarks, and then free retreat around. So, that's kind of like the main function of the deck, I guess. But yeah, this first list here is very straightforward, it's very consistent. I think if you're just looking to get into End Zoroark, but you're not really sure you want to try out like one of these more teched out builds, I would definitely say this list is the best place to start, really. It's definitely the most consistent, in my opinion. The techs are very limited. It's quite literally just 2 Reshiram and then a 3-2 line of Darmanitan, and, that's it. Pheasantipity offering some nice support, of course, but aside from that, nothing really too crazy. There's also, like, not too many new cards that you would need from Journey Together. Like, you need the main Pokemon, of course, and the Stadium. But aside from that, pretty much everything is already being released, so that's nice. Also got Prime Catcher as an A-spec of choice, which is quite nice. Just means you can remote something and then use like Ends PP Up and then Prime Catcher up something and then switch into it. So, that's quite cool. Overall, though, I would definitely say this is a fairly strong list. It's definitely not as versatile as some of the other ones that we'll look at today, but of course, just very consistent and, consistency will win games more than not. So, very cool, and definitely looking forward to trying this one out. This next one is probably my favorite in this list. I know, spoiler alert, not really saving the best for last. But I do really like this list a lot. It's playing 1 Reshiram because, to be fair, I don't think you need more than 1. 2-2 Darmanitan, which is fair. I think there could have been space for a 3-2 line, but still pretty cool. Also got a Cramrant. If you don't know what this Cramrant does, for 1 colorless energy, it does 120. However, it can only be used when your opponent has 3 or 4 prize cards remaining. So it's still a very nice single prize option. And if you've had to use Darmanitan to, say, soften up one of your opponent's main attackers, then of course you can potentially finish them off with a Cramrant later on in the game. You could also find a way to try and squeeze in some Hop's Choice Band in this deck, like Hop's Choice Belt I think it's called, which just allows you to decrease this attack cost by 1, so it's essentially a free attack, while also increasing the damage by plus 30. So, you'd be able to do 150 with Cram, which might be worth it, to be honest. So yeah, that's a nice option to consider. Also playing Budew, also playing Peturant for some like additional support. You could even like run it with Mochi as well in this list, so you get like the additional plus 40 damage, which is quite cool. Again, playing Fezandipity and also running the Budew. As for the trainers, I don't think there's anything too crazy. This list is playing 3 PP up. Previous list was only playing 4. So, oh wait, this list is only playing 3. Oh, okay, fair enough. Right, to be honest, I would much rather play 4 of that card, to be honest. I think it's good enough. So I'd maybe cut one of the TMs for it. But yeah, overall pretty solid. Unfair Stamp is also really interesting because I don't think Raging Bolt, unless they're running the Kilowattrel or Mew EX, doesn't really have much of a way to recover. And like Gardevoir's definitely got a much weaker draw engine post rotation. So yeah, I think Unfair Stamp is really good actually post rotation. So that's a good expect to see. Power Hourglass is also an interesting one. I guess if you're running like a heavy Arven count, then you may as well run it. Just allow you to get back a bit of energy and not rely on the PP up, I guess. But yeah, Mochi, as mentioned before, Defiance Band is also quite interesting, and the supporters are kind of to be expected. Only one stadium, I will say, feels a bit rough. So I think my list personally will end up being like a bit of a mixture between these two lists. Like hoping to be more consistent like the first one, but also make room for things like Cramorant, which I do think is really good in this list. So yeah, interesting to see overall. This next list is also playing a bunch of techs. I think this one might be slightly more consistent than the one we just looked at. But this one is running the Sigilif, which is really cool. So if you just need a recap, it's the one that says if your opponent, oh wait, no, it's if you have one prize card remaining. Wait, what is Sigilif? What does it do? You can only use this attack if you. Oh, right, okay. If you only have one prize card remaining. Okay, I just need to double check that. So you can play it like a 5 prize card game, which is cool. So do like Sigilif as a nice option. As for the trainers, I don't think there's anything too radical here. Earthen Vessel's a really good one. I think that's TM Devolution, which kind of makes sense with Darmanian. Maximum Belt is the A-spec of choice. I'm not sure if you need Maximum Belt in this list. It feels a bit greedy. I think maybe Prime Catcher and Unfair Stamp is probably just like a better option. I think it just depends on what ends up seeing play post-rotation, like what are the best decks, and if those decks can like easily get out of dead hands, then we'll see if like Unfair Stamp ends up being like the best A-spec. But I think for the most part, like Maximum Belt's just a bit greedy, to be honest. I think it's a bit greedy. But yeah, 2 Mortys is also quite interesting. I guess like Area Zero is still kind of a big threat post rotation, even though there's no more Palkia and Terrapagos gets nerfed a lot with no double turbo. So yeah, like Area Zero is getting nerfed. So like Morty's still pretty good though, right? Against like other Zoroark decks that want to run a lot of Pokemon, because like you're probably never not gonna have a full bench with this deck, so probably good for the mirror match. Also means you can discard a basic energy and reattach it with Ends PB ups. That's cool. Karate Master as well in here, plus 40 damage to EXs. Yeah, that seems like quite greedy with the maximum belt. Yeah, I think you need one or the other really. And then 3 Ends Castle seems more appropriate. So yeah, this list honestly might just be a bit better than the previous one, but it's an interesting list nonetheless. I think the previous one had like the Mochi as kind of like the substitute to maximum belt, but yeah, interesting lists overall. This last list, though, is going to be a Palafin build. I'm aware that Palafin is quite a popular deck in Pokemon TCG Live for some reason. But yeah, Palafin's kind of cool. I've had some fun with it. Not really enough luck with it, and I decided, Palafin probably doesn't deserve its own YouTube video. But to be honest, Zoroark Palafin does seem like a lot of fun. So of course, the main synergy here is that Ends Castle means that all your Ends Pokemon will have free retreat. So it's just really easy to just bounce between them. You've also got like Peturant as well to switch out the active Pokemon, so plenty of choices here. Also playing the, I think that's Ciarno, the supporter, that allows you to search your deck for 3 Pokemon EX. So you can basically just get like 3 Zoroarks or 2 Zoroark and a Peturant, which honestly makes a lot of sense because Peturant's pretty important in this list, I would say. But yeah, other than that, not really playing much in the way of Ends Pokemon like Darmanian's a thin line, 1 Ends Reshiram, no Sigilif, no Joltik as well, so yeah, pretty interesting list overall, but does look pretty consistent. So if you're a huge fan of Zoroark or Palafin, or you're just looking for a way to make Palafin work post-rotation, then, hopefully this will do you right. But yeah, thank you for watching. This has been Aaron Power. Do let me know what you think about the Zoroark decks down below. We'll be playing Zoroark or Zacian. And yeah, let me know what you think down below, and thank you for watching.